Hello, everyone. We will be starting in a minute. We'll just give our attendees a couple of seconds to join us.
I guess I say something till people join. You know, it's breaking the ice. It's much better than the pure silent. Thanks everyone for being with us today. I hope you had an amazing day at CBIE. Thanks to CBIE for making this amazing opportunity available for everyone to go and present. Today we're going to talk about how ApplyBoard within the company, we're leveraging the technology and data to expand our recruitment internationally. I do have my colleague, Hannah Dang. She's our she's Associate Director of Partnership. And we have Alicia Bedard. She's our Director of Marketing. Do you guys want to say hi?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Kim, do you want me to get it started?
Yes, please. Just a quick note to the participant. We encourage you to send us your comments in the chat, but please know that when you send a message in the chat, if you want to send it to the panelists only, or if you want to send it to the panelists and the other participant, make sure you select all panelists and participant, just to make sure that everyone can see and read your beautiful comments. All right, to you, Mehdi.
Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate it. Quickly, Hannah, if you go next slide, today we're going to talk about very quickly about ApplyBoard mission, why Canada be very competitive, and Hannah, I think you still haven't clicked on the next slide. There you go. And the impact of, oh, that's planning. We're gonna have a lot of fun today, guys. The technical issue. We're going to have the impact of COVID-19, what we internally see as ApplyBoard, and then we're going to talk about some visa, how we're going to leverage example exactly how we look at it, and at the end the technology, and we will be happy to take your questions at the end. So on the first section, it's the ApplyBoard planning on making education accessible to the world. That Alicia is going to quickly talk about a few things about ApplyBoard if you're not aware of ApplyBoard.
Awesome, thanks, Mehdi. So obviously I can't let Mehdi talk about himself, so I'll take over this section. So ApplyBoard was actually founded in 2015 by three brothers, Mehdi, Martin, and Massi. They grew up in Iran and they had dreams of studying abroad. When they applied, they really didn't have the technology or guidance to really support them through the process. They had to do it the old-fashioned way, the incredibly manual and time-consuming way, which Mehdi can attest to. And through that, they knew that there had to be a better way, and that's how ApplyBoard was born. So we're fast forwarding 5 years now, and ApplyBoard has actually grown to become the world's largest online platform for international student recruitment. The platform simplifies the search, application, and acceptance process by connecting our three audiences, our students, recruitment partners, and schools on a single AI-powered platform. Along our mission to educate the world, we've been able to achieve a number of milestones along the way. In 2019, we were really proud to be named Canada's fastest growing tech company by Deloitte. And recently, we actually closed our Series C funding for $100 million and became known as Canada's newest unicorn company. All of these things have really propelled us to support more students and make education that much more accessible.
Thanks, Alicia. On the next, when actually where the Hannah's background is actually our interns of reception that says education is right, not a privilege. So that's really goes to our heart of everyone working at ApplyBoard. We aiming for making and empowering any students around the world to access the best education, and that's what keep us making us wake up every morning and going to bed. That's the mission of the company. At the heart of everything we do, we do what is the best for the students, and we put them at first. On the next slide, this is a very quick slide of like how our ApplyBoard platform works. When you look at the platform, the students can do a quick search, find the courses or the program and the schools that they are meeting the minimum requirement and they're able to apply. So ApplyBoard's team does the pre-screening, making sure the application is qualified, and when we satisfy the applicants is to submit application. And obviously, it's super simple for the students. On the next slide, you would be able to see that the students can fill one single application form and they can apply as many schools that they want. I always say the easiest things for me to say, imagine using Expedia for travel. That's what ApplyBoard is for international students. We're definitely trying to expand our services and be able to support the students from A to Z of their journey. And as Alicia said, we came as a former international students ourselves. We came as international students to Canada ourselves. So it is extremely important to put the students to be successful during their journey. And on the next slide, ApplyBoard has been putting director students, teacher, such as language centers, colleges, university. We work with immigration consultants, immigration lawyers, and recruitment partner. So ApplyBoard is really the ecosystem that will support anyone through this ecosystem to support the students with their journey of going abroad. Currently, we're working with our partner schools in Canada. In Canada, as being a Canadian company, and we have expanded to United Kingdom and US in the past few months. And on the next slide,
so really quickly, we'll touch on some of the highlights ApplyBoard has seen. So as I mentioned, we've been around for 5 years and just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. I've been with the company for about 1.5 years now, and I'm really in awe of what our team and our partners have been able to accomplish in that time. To date, we've assisted over 100,000 students along their educational journey. With our partner schools, we've been able to provide over $22 million in scholarships to international students who use our platform. We've built partnerships with over 1,200 of the top primary, secondary, and post-secondary educational institutions in Canada, the US, and most recently the UK, as Mehdi mentioned. We've also built partnerships with over 3,500 recruitment partners to source our students from over, I believe, 110 countries, growing almost every day. And we recently passed just over 500 ApplyBoard employees in 20 countries around the world. All of these things wouldn't have been possible without the support from our amazing partner schools, many of which who I think are on the call with us today.
So promise, this is done. We're gonna start talking about the big elephant in the room, COVID-19, okay? Hannah, go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise to us that the international landscape had changed dramatically within the last few months. From our experience, many schools have to close their May intake and defer majority of their students to September intake. There were some schools that were able to adapt quickly and move into an online learning program to accommodate their students. And it is still a huge issue for international students to get access to visa application center and be able to apply for their study permit and their visa. I think we all know that early on in April, the IRCC has came out and changed the eligibility for post-graduation work permit and allowing international students to study up to 50% of their program anywhere around the world and still be qualified for PGWPs. However, the students still want the in-class experience, and that's why right away at ApplyBoard, we saw an immediate deferral of over 65% within our student population. But what a very interesting key point for us is that we only saw a 2% change in our cancellations. What does that mean? That means the students are working on a long-term goal and they still want to come to Canada and they still believe Canada as a safe destination. So that is an optimistic future for us who are in international educations. Now, looking at our fall intakes, schools are more prepared, obviously, working on different scenarios from online learning program into a hybrid model. However, there are still challenges for a lot of colleges, especially for the ones that are truly focused on experiential learning program. And it is more challenging for those schools to completely moving online. However, we see it as a great opportunity for institutions to be innovative and figure out, tap into their tool and resources to truly deliver an engaging learning experience for students. Majority of the students who are from the bigger city will be more likely to be open to an online learning program, an online learning concept, while what we see that the majority of the deferral actually occur to those population of the students who are in the smaller cities. It's not a surprise that we saw a decrease in application number in April and May. I think we're not the only one, and it's impact across sector in all levels. However, as the situation improved with COVID, within this month, I think we have seen a jump in terms of our application number at ApplyBoard, which is a great sign for us. And then I'm gonna pass the mic back to Mehdi to talk about why Canada will be very competitive post-COVID.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I can a lot of information. Next week, we're going to hear some great news from RCAC on changes that rules. So keep posted on those news that's coming out next week. So why we believe that Canada is going to be extremely competitive next falling intake. First of all, the options versus program delivery method has kind of changed the world. A lot of the schools are providing online programs for the students. So those students that they're very necessarily looking as a coming to Canada as their immigration pathway, now they have the ability to start online in their home countries. And that's something that we're going to see a lot more happening, especially the students that they're not necessarily looking for coming to use Canada as being a student and using the 3 years work permit and then getting their PR. Supply versus demand, something that we start seeing compared to the last few months, even before COVID, that there were in some few programs, there were more supply, meaning there were more seats available for students than actually the students. 2017 and 18, Canada see a huge pike in international number of international students coming to Canada. But 2019, there were a lot more schools, despite the intake was started. So post-COVID, considering that there is a big political tensions right now in US and there's so much unknown whether US is going to be continue being anti-international students, not welcoming international students, which was a massive factor for Canada's growth. And UK, I don't know if you guys have heard or not, Joe Johnson, previous prime minister, is in our board. So we know a lot that UK is stepping their game up. They came with many good news during this time. They're trying to increase their PGWP, and by increase of that, the students will be able to have some sort of pathway to immigration, which is a long term. It's not as quick as Canada. So that actually, one of the main reasons that ApplyBoard expanded to UK was seeing that maybe Canada will be still growing. Canada gonna continue seeing the growth, but it's going to be most likely what Australia happened. Australia for the past few years only have been growing for 6 to 8% year over year. Versus Canada, we went from 190,000 to 250,000, and this year would have be about 270, and our anticipation 300,000 students, new students coming to Canada on the student visa. And the main reason is a lot of double cohort happened. The students couldn't come this year, will come next year. And the next one, this is just more of like when we put our strategy and planning, how do we look at the data? So on the next file, what chart are the number of students that got their visa it's very different. Is not their visa that they got last year in 2019 and 2018. Hannah, I think you skipped one. If you could go back, please. The orange one is 2019. The blue one is 2018. India is first. India had a massive growth. And on the red and the green one is actually visa approval increase or decrease. It's not number of students, it's visa approval decrease. So in 2019, Canada as a sector saw 0.33% drop in the visa approval. That means less students were getting their visa approved compared to 2018. We're anticipating with the current ratio that 2020 and 21, we're going to see a higher visa approval for the schools and for the as a national, just to recap the loss that this sector has faced. And then you would be obviously saying some market like China did not actually increase that much, did actually decline because the orange line is lower than the blue line. So really last year, the biggest growth of Canada was driven by India. When you look at the top 20 countries, not many countries actually increased. Very, very few, like actually most of them, Iran decreased, Philippines increased, Vietnam had a massive decrease. So it's super important when we are doing our planning to look at this data. And quickly on the next one, we actually look at it even on the stage one. Example, how number of students going by colleges, right? In which degree? Is it diploma? Is it 1 year? Is it bachelor degree, right? This is, for example, by colleges, 2018, 2019, you can see 73,000 of the students got their visa in 2019 was from India for colleges. That automatically puts us to be very interested to focus on increasing our market share in India. Pretty much all the countries that you see ApplyBoard has achieved a good market share, and that's something that we look at. And Hannah is going to have a very great example on Vietnam as a game for that 82,000 students got their visa last year on university. Comes first. Actually, a lot of university schools still feel China is first. China is no longer first, even for universities. For universities, even India has a step up. And then we look at it, is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Which market shall we? And the last one, that's for higher school again. For example, last year, Canada has issued visa for 40,000 people in terms of the visa for K to 12. Again, you see China first, but it was decreased compared to the last year. India comes as a second. So it is extremely important when we are doing any marketing to look at the data, because you could go spend a lot of money and see very low ROI versus return on your investment versus like picking on a very niche market that exactly gives the answers to you. Thanks. Hannah is going to exactly show what, for example, how much is important on Vietnam that maybe it's a lot of people think is the ESL market as example. Hannah.
Hi, thank you, Maddie. So next, we're going to take a deep dive into Vietnam because it's a very interesting market. The market has grown at such a very high percentage within the last few years, with an exception to 2019. So when we look at the number, in 2019, there was 5,171 visa was approved for Vietnamese student. It's a 48.87% visa approval rate. So it was actually a 90% decrease from the previous year, which led to over 2,000 less the student that was coming to Canada in 2019 compared to 2018. So when we look into these numbers more carefully and analyze our data, we actually saw that the changes within the K-12 sector was very, very small. And K-12 sector is a leading sector in Vietnam with a huge demand for high school program and primary school program. With 2,281 visa and with a higher visa approval rate of 53.2%. What does that mean? It means for university and colleges, not only you had to focus on your branding offshore and recruiting Vietnamese student offshore, it's also time to focus on your onshore recruitment strategy within the next few years. Because the feeding number of students who will be graduating high school that are Vietnamese international students that are onshore in Canada will be at a very high number. Then we're looking at a college level with a lower visa approval rate of 42%. However, what affect the most will actually for the student who require additional ESL program on top of their academic program. There's only 539 students got their visa approval for that categories. Compared to 2019, there was actually over 2,200 students that got visa approval under the same category. So the market actually changed very, very quickly. And when we analyze these data and take a deep dive into each market, it allows ApplyBoard to apply the appropriate strategy for each market so that not only we help institutions to vet and get qualified application, but we also will be able to provide insightful data to improve visa approval rate, for not only for our students, but also for our partner institutions. And then you can see the same trend for the student that only apply for the ESL program. The visa approval rate was only 16.4%. And it is still a very high demand, very high visa approval rate for universities. And then next, I'll let Alicia to talk about some of the great initiatives that ApplyBoard has been doing with our partner during COVID. And yeah.
Awesome, thanks, Hannah. So along with all of that great data, you're going to want to take advantage of the great technology that's available to support you along the recruitment process. So on the slide here, we have a list of technology that you should really seriously consider implementing into your tech stack for your recruitment process and your communication process. It's really important to note that these are all tools that you should implement regardless of COVID-19. COVID-19 has just really called out the importance of tools that empower you to communicate virtually with your prospective students around the world. As we can no longer obviously meet face-to-face, it's really important for you to adopt a new approach to continuing those face-to-face interactions. So that's where virtual fairs come in. It's really great because you think about a typical event that you'd run, you'd probably be, estimating a cost of around $15,000. Whereas when you look at virtual fairs, you can probably participate between, 8 to 10, depending on the size, for a similar price point. Additionally, the majority of these events are free for attendees to participate in, so it ensures that you get in front of a large audience for your investment. Next, if you're not already doing it, virtual campus tours are an awesome way for you to showcase your beautiful campus to students around the world. Everybody's looking to consume online content, and this is a great way to highlight that. So you can go anywhere from high cost, high production videos to simple videos of you or your students, volunteers, anyone going around your campus and really giving it that grassroots feel. So there's a wide range of things that you can do there. On the right here is an example of what Conestoga College has done. And just to be cognitive of your time, I think the next thing that you should really look at is social media advertising. Specifically, we're looking at audiences that are going to resonate, platforms that are going to resonate with our audiences. So focusing on your Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok's really becoming popular. A recent stat that I saw is that 40% of people are spending more time online during COVID-19. Obviously, there's not much better things to do than be online. So you've got a really captive audience. And you're going to want to look at something on Facebook called lookalike campaigns or lookalike ads. So as an institution, you can take a list of current students that fit your profile and actually upload them into the Facebook platform. Facebook will then take that information and advertise to similar candidates. So you're getting in front of the right eyeballs at the right
time. Thank you. By the way, because I know we will get the question, those data that we used was the data that they're public data, but you have to fight for getting those data from Government of Canada. So all the data that we show was Government of Canada's data. If you are requiring more chat and you would like to see a specific countries, we obviously have access to every single countries. We even have some data per institution. We're here regardless we work with you or not. So please reach out to our partner relationship team, and they're happy to pretty much share as much as we can, because our belief is we need to just be able to work with everyone and kind of give back to everyone the way that we can in order to make sure we all become successful at that. Thank you so much for being with us. Before I forget, on behalf of ApplyBoard, we wish you all happy Canada Day. It's going to be exciting tomorrow. We're celebrating 153 third year of Canada. So happy Canada Day to everyone. So if you guys do have questions, please ask your question. Thanks, Kim. Alicia, you should do an offering marketing webinar to our membership in future. Sounds like a plan. If it's not 30 minutes, we'll do more, you know.
Yes.
You guys for hours on different marketing things we could do. So hopefully my speed dating of marketing really helped.
Thank you so much. It was great. It's wonderful to know that all of this data is accessible. It's a bit, it makes me feel better to know that we can make our decision based on data. So thank you for this wonderful session.
There is actually a lot of ApplyBoard is not public yet, so we don't come like with our own data publicly. Like we're recruiting thousands of students from different countries, as Alicia said. Obviously, when we do chat with our partner schools, we can share internal data. Is much easier just because we're not public company yet.
And I think also one of the key takeaway today is please reach out to us. We have Vietnam was only one of the small exercise that we did today in terms of analyzing our number and available information that we have for school and insight. So please reach out if you are looking to enter a new market, if you're looking to diversify the student population. We would love to help you.
Thanks. Kim, if you don't mind, there's a question about how do students leverage the immigration advising service you guys do provide. We do have a full-time immigration consultant. Actually, we have 4 or 5 of them, I don't know, in different languages that provide the students the accessibility to use those services. If there is any other question, happy to answer. I know there is no section after us, so we can take advantage of answering more questions, right?
That's why I put you on this slot of the schedule. So
I love it.
The highlight. I believe there's a question about apply proof, if you want to talk about it for
Yeah, so if there is a company that we're actually $1 million in apply proof in order to make sure that we kind of see what is coming. Canada is the only country in the world that does not tracking of the international students when they come to Canada. Neither there is any integrity around the acceptance of their tuition deposit issued by a school. And what we have even got students got refusal or deported by the officers at the airport just because they couldn't verify the student's document by a school. So we have invested in apply proof heavily that provide those opportunity. If you guys do require to get more information, you can message help at apply proof, or is info@applyproof.com. We wouldn't put our words and money somewhere that we don't think is gonna impact everyone nationally, and that's something that we're very excited to do. So please get in touch with Mike Alcott, which he's leading Apply Proof. It's a separate entity than ApplyBoard. So if you do have questions around that, please reach out to Mike.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. And thank you for the hundreds of attendees that joined us today. So we now invite you to come hang out with us in our virtual campus. And at 5 p.m., we'll have an immigration session with IRCC, which I believe will be very helpful to all of us. And yeah, so thank you. And then I'll see you on the virtual campus.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thanks everyone for participating.